What does, one more time. What does home mean to you? Physical, emotional, spiritual? What does it mean to you to be at home? I never had a home. I was born in this desert, wandering. Before, where my parents came from, that was not home. Home is supposed to mean the place where you feel safe, where you can be yourself, where you will be accepted and loved, warm, well fed. But they didn't have any of those things in that place. None of us did. None of this mixed multitude had a home like that. And now our lives took a turn. We turned away from that life to start anew, turning, wandering. I've been wandering my whole life. We've all been wandering. Here in this desert for years and years, generations born, generations perished. In this heat, this sun and sand, the only shade is what we build for ourselves. The only cool, the only rest from the heat of the day is what we have created. We build only what can be taken down and rebuilt again and again, carrying it with us. Some on our backs, some on wagons, however we can, makeshift, a makeshift people. We make things for ourselves, we shift from this sand to that dune, and we keep walking on. I am thirsty, she is tired, we are walking, it seems endless. We have been promised a home, but before we can get there, we wander, we build, we take down, and we wander still. These are our dwellings, temporary though they may be. We have branches, palms, acacia, whatever we can find, whatever can withstand the arid heat. We use them as poles, one in each corner, and poles above and below for stability, support. Around the poles, we create walls, wrapping whatever scraps of fabric we have. And for the ceiling, we take more branches, the branches that are thinner or more crooked or with more leaves. Some of us weave them together, a perfect pattern of palms, interlaced. Some of us throw them on top, haphazard, just like a tree itself. For my dwelling, I use the linen that my grandmother made. Her father farmed flax, and when she was a girl, she picked it. Her mother helped her separate and soften the fibers. The fabric is the first string she spun, the first weave she wove. There are some imperfections in the weave, and her parents hid it so that the masters wouldn't punish her for her errors. They hid it under their straw beds, and it was under the bed when my mother was born, and under my mother's bed when I was born. And the night we all left, into this wandering freedom, my grandmother took it with her, the first linen she ever made, that forms the walls of my dwelling, that I take down and put back up and take down again, whenever our camp moves. Sometimes we stay at a campsite for days, sometimes months. When we stay for longer stretches of time, I get to see not only how the others in my tribe build their dwellings, I also get to see those in the camps of the other tribes. All the fabrics, all the branches. When we stay for longer, I get to wander, not through vast sands, but through the alleys between the dwellings of all the brothers and sisters that make up this mixed multitude. How good it is for brothers and sisters to dwell together. But do we dwell? We wander, we turn. We turn towards newfound freedoms, where we can show each other what our grandparents made, and what we can make with it, and how we can change from one camp to another. At one camp, my boy and my girl made dolls out of dried out palm leaves, woven too, and they tied linen strings around their waists and hung them from the acacia branches that formed our roof. Each breeze made the dolls soar, as if they were trying to reach the mountain with Moshe. And when we had to pack up that tent, they untied the dolls, gave them and each other hugs, and carried them with us to our next camp, so they could tie them above us again. We turn again. Freedom has its challenges. We didn't know that when we yearned for it. We didn't know that with freedom comes endless choices, opportunities to exercise judgment and care, and to get it wrong. With freedom, survival looks different. It is not necessarily you surviving from the wrath of your masters. It is you finding within you and your tribes the resources to keep going. It is you making it through the weather and the wanderings to reach the promised land. We have been wandering for years. All that is left of my grandmother is her linen and her love. It feels like we are turning around in circles, never getting anywhere. Was the promise real? Is there a home for us? Today I sat in my temporary dwelling, under my temporary roof. I used to care about weaving the ceiling, but now we just throw the branches up there. Who cares anymore? All that effort, it didn't save us anything. It all felt useless. Just throw it up. I'm tired of wandering, of building just to take down and then to build again. My boy and my girl are no longer dreaming of that mountaintop. All these rules, they don't understand why we have to follow them. I'm exhausted. And then as I sat, I saw something I've seen every day, and it looked different somehow. I saw the way the shade let in the light. I saw the reflection of a shadow of a leaf on its branch, the almost parallel lines crossing over each other and swaying and breathing as the air lifted it to show me that the sun is with me, but also that it will not burn me. I watched the walls as the evening fell, and I waited for the sun to cool. The patterns of pink turned to blue, and the blue darkened to lapis, to onyx, and I saw stars. A mixed multitude. Stars in their dwellings that danced with their light, shining through leaves. Stars that don't leave us alone in the dark, that light the way. And the branches that show me enough of them to know that we are not alone, but that also keep them quiet so we can rest. I turned over on our mats made of straw to see my boy and my girl snoring lightly, hugging the dolls that they no longer hang from the branches. Tomorrow we will wander again. When will we find home? When we get there, will we be safe? Will we stay free? Or will we be wandering forever? After 40 years, we made it. Our feet touch the sands that shift under our feet. Our people who struggle, this land of tumult. We have made it, we are told. We are home. We turned from wandering to stillness. After 40 years, I don't know if I know how not to wander anymore. I was born into wandering, and I have longed to be still. I'm tired, but I don't know how to stay still. But they tell me that here we can be safe and be free and sit still. Now we have permanent walls. We do not need to keep moving. Our walls no longer sway in the breeze, nor our ceilings. We can relax, and the cool of the day lasts longer inside. When we got here on our first night, we put markings on our doorpost, grateful to be home. We made a blanket of my grandmother's linen. My boy and my girl, we huddled under it on the nights that were cool, but we liked to keep the windows open so the stars could keep us company, to remind us that we wandered, like the stars do each night, and now we are home. When we got here, we managed to get a bit of land and some seeds. We readied rows and rows, spacing out the holes, and in each one dropped a seed. With each seed, a tear for every person we lost on our journey, each person who could not survive the heat or the wilderness or the years of wandering. In the darkness of the dirt, the seed glistened like a star. I made sure to grow a garden of flax for my grandmother and for all who survived. We tended to the plants in the heat, clipping off the dried leaves, inviting in the bees, hoping for rains in plenty for the harvest. For the first time, we will be picking the fine fruits of this land. During harvest season, we make temporary dwellings again in the fields, so we can sleep out there, so we don't miss a bit of our yield. My boy is so big, my girl is not far behind. They will be off soon, but this year they will help me harvest. We will give offerings of our first fruits, and then we will feast together, eating and drinking from the bounty of this earth, and with satisfaction in our work. We will go to the flax patch, and together we will learn to pick and separate and soften and spin and weave. Together we will make a new cloth, and into it we will weave freedom and safety and our yearnings for peace. We will embrace each other, and we will rejoice that we have made it to our home after all the years and the struggles. We turned so slowly, circuitously, from oppression to freedom, from desolation to joy. Years from now, someone will be called wise for saying what we already know. There's nothing better under the sun for a creature of this earth than to eat and drink and rejoice, and joy should accompany us in labors for all the days that God has given us under the sun. There's nothing better under the sun for us than to eat and drink and rejoice. We rejoice in the work that sustained us, all the difficult, sun-drenched, sweaty, dirty, exhausting work of the harvest. And we are comforted by all that it means to be at home, to be at peace, to feel safe, to feel free. This season of labor is the season of our joy. During the harvest, we have purpose and we have a place to belong. And for all of us, in all of our communities, in our city, and our countries, in the world, may we be sustained by and help each other turn to joy and to purpose and to home.